Welcome, my name is Matt, aka Road Jedi 88. We are getting into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, mods, Boushh, Leia Organa. Okay, so there is a backstory behind this Boushh. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was this book. It's been a long time since I've read it, so I'm trying to remember. But in the book, Zorba the Hutt's Revenge, we get a little backstory on Han, Lando, and Chewbacca and their history with each other. Because Zorba the Hutt, when he finds out about his nephew, Jabba the Hutt's death, and he finds out that it was Leia who killed him. He finds out Leia infiltrated Jabba with that Boushh costume, that bounty hunter costume, to infiltrate Jabba's palace to get close to Han so she could free him out of the carbonite. We get a little backstory. I believe when Zorba raids in on Lando at one of his gambling establishments, and Lando owns multiple establishments. Cloud City was not the only one. He has multiple establishments that he has won in gambling or whatever. And Lando is quite the hustler. Let's just put it that way. When he raids in on Lando, the reason why he goes after Lando is because Zorba doesn't exactly know Leia well enough to know where to track her. But he knew that Han was the reason she was there. He knew Han Solo was affiliated or associated with Lando, and he knew where Lando's establishments were. He knew where to track Lando, so he can track for Han, knowing that Leia would be there. So we get a little backstory. Supposedly, as far as all the backstories, we might not get all of it, because honestly, the backstories on Han Solo, Lando, and Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon is largely scattered among a lot of the post-Return of the Jedi books that were written. They're not just in one or two books. They are literally largely scattered. So you really kind of have to know where to look when it comes to getting those backstories. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was this book right here, Zorba the Hutt's Revenge. When we might get a little detail about the Boushh costume, and I might be wrong. But we get some backstories there. The Boushh was a bounty hunter. Lore tellers claim that he was a bounty hunter off of Ord Mantell. Ord Mantell is a mining colony. Well, Lando owns a mining facility off the planet Bespin with his Cloud City. Bespin is at surface level toxified, which is why they have to live in the Cloud City. I mean, they can live. There are people that live down on the surface, but they're either adapted to it or they're wearing breathers, respirators to be able to survive down there because it's toxic. Just because from all the mining that goes on Bespin. Ord Mantell is kind of a similar planetary situation. So I would imagine if we were to find all the backstories, Lando probably had affiliations with Boushh in some sense, or he probably had connections with them. But he ends up with that after Boushh was killed, and I'm trying to remember if it was Lando who did kill him. And this is probably where Zorba the Hutt comes in, because he probably knew about this when he found out how Leia infiltrated. He knew about that costume also. He also knew the connections. Boushh was, I believe Lando might have killed Boushh. I could be wrong. But when Boushh died, Lando hid the Boushh bounty hunter costume onto the Millennium Falcon. Then, of course, when he met Han, he gambled the Millennium Falcon in the game of Sabacc, and Han won. Lando is a bit of a hustler and a scammer. He's a scam artist, without a doubt. Han kind of called him out on it and fairly won the Millennium Falcon fair and square. Sorry about that. And you get a little bit of that backstory here in this book about how Han ended up with the Millennium Falcon. Knowing the backstory of Boushh and if you get the backstory of Lando and Boushh and how he ended up with that costume, he left it on the Millennium Falcon. And for the entire time Han Solo has ever owned the Millennium Falcon, that bounty hunter's costume has always been on the Millennium Falcon because Lando left it on there. Now, if you read Shadows of the Empire, and I'm not kidding when I say this, every first time Return of the Jedi movie reactors I watch, they ask a load of questions that, going into Return of the Jedi about why is Luke handing C-3PO and R2-D2 off to Jabba without C-3PO knowing about it? Where did Luke get his lightsaber? How does Luke know there's good in his father at all? Literally, all the questions I hear first time movie reactors to Return of the Jedi on the YouTubes, if they would literally open this book, Shadows of the Empire, every single one of their questions, literally no joke, would be answered. It is answered in this book. With that said, Shadows of the Empire is the bridge story. It's a story that fills in the gap between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It was written, I believe, in the 80s, 1989, or my early 90s, 1990s. I want to say 89. I could be wrong. But it bridges the story between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and it explains, one, how Luke discovered that there was good in his father. It does explain that, but we're talking about Leia in this Boushh costume, right? They do cover how they're hunting down Han, how they're going to get to Han, and they're planning of rescuing Han. It is literally all in this book. So, Shadows of the Empire, this is actually one book that fans of my generation, the George Lucas era of Star Wars, fans have long wished they would make a movie off of. This is actually a damn good book, and it has frustrated a number of us from my generation of Star Wars that they have never made this into a film. This would actually be a really good one to see in cinema. With that said, we're gonna go back to Boushh, Leia Organa. So, SWGOH.GG recommends setting Leia up with speed and potency. She's an attacker in this state. In this bounty hunter suit, she is an attacker. Speed and potency. It's going to make her quicker. It's going to make her more lethal. She's going to attack like a tank with a heavy punch with this. Probably because of the weaponry, the armor that she's wearing. You put those mods in place. I mean, Leia herself, she's generally either a support or an attacker in person. But now she's wearing this bounty hunter suit. And you include the mods so that she can have the effects of the bounty hunter suit. Think about it. I mean, so speed and potency. You are modding her to attack like a tank, essentially with that. Now you could go maybe speed and health, offense and health, critical chance, critical damage. Honestly, there's kind of a wide array of options we could go at with this. Honestly, speed and potency is just a highly recommended one off of SWGOH. But in her position as an attacker with the bounty hunter gear up, you can kind of go multiple different directions. You don't have to go with this one. I can literally see maybe 2 or 3 different mod possibilities with her. So, that is Boushh, Leia Organa. Speed and potency is the primary recommendations, or the highest statistical recommendation on SWGOH. Like I said, you could probably go critical chance, critical damage. You could probably go speed and health, offense and health, maybe. Um, this is probably one character you literally could play around with, and just kind of like getting a new car. You get the feel of the driver's seat. See how the driver's seat feels for you. In this case with Leia, how does she feel for you in a squad with this type of mods you want to apply to her? What kind of do you want her as an attacking tank? Do you want her as a supporting attacker? I mean, mod her with a support modifications or an tank modification. It's kind of really kind of free choice on that one. Really kind of to each their own on that one. So with that said, thank you for following. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below, and may the force be with you.